Comfort and luxury at its best. It is a good morning family. Issues at hand here on Church of Uganda Family TV. My name is Carol Nowamani and you're welcome to the show today. It is the 11th of July 2023 and we are going towards the middle or the end of this year. I hope that the dreams that you had set for yourself, you are working towards them, and some of them have been achieved. In case some others are still pending, do not worry. That it is the way we live life, and you never know, tomorrow might be a better day than today. Of course, we are looking at current affairs and issues that affect our community socially, economically, spiritually, and of course politically. Today we are going to be looking at a topic, but before I get to our topic of the day, I'd like to remind us that there was a report recently that the political parties are going to start having one of the most unexpected things in Uganda, and that is they are going to start having unity. There is a plan that all the party leaders will be sitting for a meeting. Of course, Family TV will be letting you know when exactly, but that has been going on. Yesterday we had a discussion about the DNA and of course issues pertaining to it, and you saw that it was just a false alarm by the public, and everything is under control. We have 2 laboratories that carry out those tests in case you are in need. But today I have a guest in studio, and our topic, of course, will be what is the relationship, or what are the relationships between the leading party currently, NRM, and UPC. In studio with me is our guest today. His name is Mr. Christopher Lwanga. He is the head of ideology, research, and documentation of the Uganda People's Congress, UPC. Remember that UPC goes way back in Uganda. But before we look at UPC's brief history, let me welcome him to the studio. You're very welcome to today's show.
Thanks very much, my host Carol and the Family TV. But before I proceed, I have to bring warm greetings from UPC party headquarters, and especially from the party president, Honorable Jim Akena, who feels that Family TV and the Church of Uganda, you are doing a great job in trying to create public awareness on political trends and rebuilding the country. Again, special thanks go to our party members and the general public of Uganda for tuning in and being very active to internalize what we are saying.
Thank you so much. Okay, so as independence approached in the 1940s to 50s, we remember it was clear that Baganda under Kabaka Yeka wanted extensive autonomy in Uganda here, but this was not favored by most Ugandans of other tribes who were not Baganda. So the Democratic Party also had widespread support in the southern parts, but there was a vacuum, and into this void is when the alternative UNC, Uganda National Congress, was formed under Milton Obote. Later they collaborated with Uganda People's Union, which then became UPC. So we remember that Apollo Milton Obote was a very, very instrumental tool to the growth and independence of Uganda. But and currently the party is under Honorable Jimmy Michael Akena, and we will be talking about this shortly. But I would like to understand from our guest today, do you think there is a good relationship between NRM and UPC, particularly UPC? Let's leave out other parties.
Thanks very much for whatever you have raised, and it may need a little bit of some background explanation.
Okay.
And the background explanation of what brings us all together as Ugandans and as UPC stems mainly from the heritage we inherited, from the background which you have summarized we inherited. Uganda National Congress was formed in 1952, as you have rightly put it. And when it was formed, it had the motto that one man, one vote. We want self-government now, okay? And most of our people became members to Uganda National Congress. But the goals of independence struggle and decolonization struggle are bigger than Uganda National Congress of that time. So there was a need to mobilize the country across a common goal, and there was a need to do the merger, as you have rightly put it, with Uganda People's Union of Resiba on 10th March 1960. When that merger was done, still Uganda and UPC was born at Uganda Club, and Dr. Apollo Milton was elected as its party president. We felt that we cannot settle for that only, and we rolled out a blueprint which committed ourselves to work with anyone when we win elections. And we made it very clear that we want a coalition government, and it was based on the background that Uganda was an emerging younger state. And when you are an emerging younger state, you have a lot of challenges. For instance, we had less than 400 graduates. 2, we needed to rebuild the country. We needed to reverse the pains of colonialism, and we needed to move with Uhuru, with independence together. So, as a matter of fact, we put a blueprint of coalition of alliances. Our party president, Dr. Apollo Milton Obote, had the courtesy of approaching the late Ben Kitochwanuka twice and telling him, let us come together. But DP had its own calculations, and they refused that opportunity in 1962. More or less in the same way they refused it in 1980. So it is in the mindset of UPC, it is in the ideology, it is in the DNA of UPC of working together with others. We are very happy that King Freddy and his KY, Kabaka Yeka, moved forward and accepted it, the coalition, and UPC and KY formed the coalition government. But allow me to say one or two things quickly. We need to salute King Freddy, because King Freddy did not only allow, when I say King Freddy, I'm referring to the Kabaka of Buganda. King Freddy did not only allow a coalition government, but he gave his friend Dr. Apollo Milton Obote, the Prime Minister then, a liberty to pick whoever he felt is very good for his government. It is not Mutesa who suggested those people. It is, he simply gave him permission. That is one thing. 2, we are running a parliamentary democracy. Parliamentary democracy means that whoever wins is free to make a coalition with anyone. It is not necessarily that if KY had not joined the UPC, UPC would not have formed a government. It is the basis of a coalition government or parliamentary democracy. Those are the clarifications I wanted to make. Okay. Now, to go back to your question, whether NRM and UPC are working together, it is in our DNA to work with anybody. We have a responsibility as UPC that we are a national founding political party of Uganda. You can't mention Uganda and you delete UPC. You can't mention Uganda and you delete Obote. You can't mention Uganda and you delete Mr. Lwanga Christopher you are keeping here. And I'm running a department which brings all those things out. One aspect is ideology. The second aspect is research. The third aspect is documentation. And you rightly asked me that I should clarify on that. So, ideology gives us the independence goals of Uganda and how UPC was positioning Uganda. It was positioning itself in Uganda and pulling Uganda to East Africa, to Africa, and to the rest of the world. Documentation is what we are holding on. We have this controversy that independence to Uganda came on 8th October 1962. It is not supported by my department of documentation and research. No, independence came on 9th October 1962 when the Duke of Kent handed the instruments of independence to Dr. Apollo Milton Obote at Koro Airstrip. Okay, my research and documentation department supports that. So when you start talking and seeing the bigger picture, that is how UPC becomes very relevant, and UPC is the rallying call, is the symbol of independence together with the Democratic Party. Because in the first self-government of April 1961, we lost technically with the less MPs, but with more votes to DP. And the DP formed the first self-government while we were on opposition. When we came for April 1962 elections, we managed to win. And the DP played an opposition role while we are in the government with the KY. So when it comes to the future of Uganda, celebrating 60 years, we occupy a front seat. And it is us to advise others. So it would be very funny if UPC and the NRM or NOP are very antagonistic to each other and we sit back. No, we are the founders of Uganda. It is us to pass on Uganda to others, and it is us to guide. We are like a grandparents in the family. Our role cannot be contested. And that's why we are always ready to give advice. We are always ready to come in. Yes, the experiences we have undergone have cut us a bit, or have caused a relationship to sour at one point or the other. But politics has no permanent friend, has no permanent enemy. We continue to forge, we continue to build. And I'm very happy that in 2016 precisely, I think, if I'm not mistaken, at the headquarters, my department was mandated a responsibility to design a working paper which we can think about when we are discussing this issue of NRM and UPC. And the paper was entitled UPC and the NRM, which way to go. And that is what we discussed heavily at Bwebaja. And it is that paper now which fully guided our cooperation and our working, our engagement with the government.
Okay. There is where I want to ask, because General Museveni was a minister in one of those governments. Did he ever have a relationship with Dr. Apollo Milton?
Pardon?
Did General Museveni ever have a relationship, political relationship, with Dr. Apollo Milton Obote or UPC as a party?
When we go to the background of Uganda, UPC formed the first government.
True.
And as it formed the first government, it had the interests of every Ugandan at heart. Okay? Now, in that sort of interest of having every Ugandan at heart, UPC facilitated education to everybody, which was free of charge. And through that facilitation, that is how our current president found himself completing Intale and going to Dar es Salaam University, which was an exchange program.
Yes.
Okay, between Uganda, but of course you go when you are recommended. Okay, and studied there. Then as we came back, okay, because we had an open policy and we are working towards Africanization and Ugandanization of civil service, he was absorbed in civil service, specifically as a research desk officer under what you would call General Service Unit. Okay, and that was a branch of government, but to do with the intelligence. Then the unfortunate happened, and Amin staged the coup. When Amin staged the coup, to reverse Amin's coup, you needed a figurehead. And a figurehead had to be Obote, had to be UPC. And through that being a figurehead, every Ugandan had to rally around with his movement. And Obote provided that political leadership. So you could see that from that point, all Ugandans who were interested in overthrowing Idi Amin, they had to rally behind. And even the culmination of the fall of Idi Amin, which happened with the delegate conference in Mosh, actually Mosh Conference of March 1979, it is Dr. Apollo Milton Obote whom Nyerere requested to write guiding papers. But the dynamics of the politics, because it was very hot, Dr. Apollo Milton Obote did not attend that conference. They said, it may have issues. And even when Amin collapsed, on 11th April 1979, still Dr. Apollo Milton Obote did not come to Uganda immediately. The first leader, who was Professor Yusuf Chironde Rule, who ruled for about 68 days exactly, and his age was also 68 years, was not so keen to have Obote back. And when Nyerere summoned Professor Yusuf Rule in Mwanza to talk about it, unfortunately, Professor Yusuf Rule was very arrogant and he did not see the bigger picture. Then Obote told him, Nyerere told him, but it is my forces keeping you in power, that is one. Two, you are very thin on the ground. Obote has a crowd and is a nationalist, is the founding father, and he was kicked out in office by the gun. Okay, so you need to work with him. And Ule gave a condition that unless he wants to be at the UN in America, I will allow him to just connect from Tanzania to New York. And Obote said, I'm not seeking a job. Okay, I'm above that. I'm ready to go back to Uganda as a private citizen. It did not work. So since it did not work, Obote knew that and Nyerere, that the days of Rule in office are very numbered. And this is when now Binaisa came in. And when Binaisa came in, Godfrey Rukongwa Binaisa, we thought that he would move things faster. Instead, he blocked the politics and said he's running umbrella politics where we have no political parties, where you don't talk of UPC, DP, and KY. Then from that time, UPC and KY coalesced and worked hard to squeeze Binaisa. Then Binaisa made one blunder. He got hold of one of the leading commanders of UNRF government, who is by that time I think was still Lieutenant Colonel David Oyeto, and sent him as an ambassador to Algeria. As they sent him to an ambassador to Algeria, things did not settle down. And I think also President Museveni was reshuffled from I think Minister of Defense either to Labour. I will need to cross-check that detail. Then there was the military commission now, which was headed by Paulo Lwanga and deputized by the current leader, President Yoweri Museveni, disagreed with Binaisa, and Binaisa was kicked out of office around mid-May 1980. Immediately was kicked out of office. Obote held a press conference in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, and announced 27th May, come rain, come sunshine, in 1980, I'm coming back to Uganda. And it is from that time now, when he came back on 27th May 1980 in Bushenyi, which we call in UPC circles, and even in Uganda by that time, as Heroes Day. And we used to go there every year, and we celebrate, we pay homage. Then when he landed in Ishaka Bushenyi, and he gave a mammoth rally, a mammoth speech, he set the agenda for the return of multi-partyism. That is the time now we are seeing the current leader forming Uganda UPM, Uganda Patriotic Movement. And it was launched just near here at State Square, though I think the meeting was at State Hall, which decided. Okay, so you will see that every time Dr. Apollo Milton Obote and UPC was setting a pace, and this younger leadership, whether it is the current president, His Excellency Y.K. Museveni, and his UPM, they were young, they were just following the footsteps. Okay, now what caused the problem there and then is still, okay, was that when the campaigns were going on for 10th December 1980 elections, UPM campaigned on the platform that if elections are rigged, I will go to the bush. UPC said we are campaigning on the platform of reconciliation, toleration, rehabilitation of the economy, and reconstruction of the economy, okay? And of course, our usual three issues which we always fight for relentlessly against. This is poverty, ignorance, and disease. Okay, now our spirit of reconciliation and no revenge was not bought by some of the Ugandans. And that's why when elections were announced, others opted to go to the bush, okay, to start a civil war. Now, it is that, again, experience, which, again, you are seeing our government in power battling with rebels. Some were led by the current leader as the NRA, National Resistance Army, National Resistance Movement. Some were Uganda Freedom Movement of Kayira. Some were Fedemu of Lwanga. Okay, West Nile Bank fraud. There were sorts and sorts of rebels, which was unfortunate for a country which was coming out of a long, protracted war against Amin. And all civilized countries, they don't see election issues as issues which should take them to the bush to fight. It is a step, it is a wasted opportunity, which Uganda, when we look back, we should build on it and never to have it again. And never to have it again. Because the damage, the self-damage, the self-infliction we put on ourselves, we have not yet recovered. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm sorry I have given that as a preamble, but since you provoked me to show where there is...
No, it's related to our topic today.
Yes. Wonderful, okay. Beautiful.
All right, there are a number of issues to deal with: poverty, ignorance, and disease. I'm coming to whether that has gone away over the years. But let's go back a bit. There is a meeting that Dr. Apollo Milton missed because there was some kind of fire and a tense situation you've mentioned. Is history likely to repeat itself in case General Museveni, the leading, the party leader of NRM and the sitting government, requested a meeting with all other party leaders in opposition? For example, UPC, DP, and all the others, to sit on a round table and see how to solve some of the issues that have been long affecting the country. Would it be possible, or is history likely to repeat itself? Are we seeing people like Honorable Jimmy Akena missing this meeting?
No, actually, if I'm to take you back, let me be very honest and precise. When the current government, the current leader took over power on 26 January 1986, there was that big talk that we don't want political parties. It was a big talk in the country. And indeed, the political parties were suspended and were marooned to operate from our party headquarters. And even when a senior party leader died, you were not allowed to repress him. Even when a small leader died in the village who is a branch chairman, you are not supposed to repress him. In real language, you were frozen. Like the way you put something in the deep freezer and you freeze it. Okay? But much as we are frozen, being political animals, we continued to make the right noise. We continued to make the right campaigns, and we continued to put pressure, okay? Saying, this 10-point program you have come with from the bush, you will not implement it alone. We shall also participate, and we want to participate with our true identities. So we pushed him against the wall, and at a certain point, they had to devise to call a CA, which CA carried most of their ideas and vision. And then in 1986, we went for elections. And even when we went for the elections, we are not allowed to operate normally as a political party, but oppositions coalesced around Semwogerere. But since political party structures were not allowed to come in to support, he took an advantage and defeated us and said he has defeated multi-partists. But when he has not allowed us even to put on our t-shirt, even to sing our party songs. It was against the law. Then we continued to work it out. We continued to work it out. And eventually in 2004, a court case was won. 2005, we normalized. And in 2006, we started having multi-party politics. And the moment we had the multi-party politics and the results were out, opposition political parties, I remember, including Mama Mili and the UPC delegation, they met the president and they put proposals of how we can deepen our democracy. It is a result of that concerted effort which gave birth to IPOD. IPOD is an inter-party dialogue organization which brings political parties together which have parliamentary representation. Then we also have another umbrella national forum, a sort of forum for political parties. That is all the political parties which exist belong to the national forum. But then this inter-party dialogue, which consists of parties in the parliament, it is a very good step in the right direction. And this is where now you meet the party, you meet the president as the chairman of NRM, meeting other opposition political parties. And it is that through IPOD that a number of things have been achieved. There are Kena, all Mawo, all Basalirwa, all Bidandi Salib, of course now is Ani, where they can talk to Museveni and they can talk to each other as brothers and sisters. And we need that institution. And we need the government to reinforce it, fund it heavily, and it even stops being donor funded, such that the government can fund it, it can deepen itself. Those are the institutions which we need to build. We may not need a stronger AKENA. We may need a stronger UPC. We may not need a stronger Museveni. We may need a stronger NRM. We may need a stronger DP, not a stronger Mao. Those now give the future of the country. These countries which have survived the crisis, they have institutions which are very strong. So, any meeting you are to invite UPC and it is discussing the interest of Uganda, be assured we are the people who fought for independence and we shall gladly participate and encourage others to participate. Okay. That is our commitment we are making. If we don't do that, then we are abdicating our responsibility. We are throwing away our responsibility to darkness. We need to lead enlightenment. We need to be the sense of hope. We need to be the sense of inspiration. We need to be the mirror. We are a forgiving political party. We are a party of dialogue. And we have achieved a lot through dialogue. And our independence of 9th October 1962 was got on the basis of the dialogue. It is that inheritance. Mr. Lwanga as a member of UPC, Mr. So-and-so as a member of UPC, which we are carrying forward. And as our words, we put them into practice. Our commitment, our sacrifice, we show it into practice. Yes.
Thank you so much. You mentioned poverty, ignorance, and disease going as far back as Dr. Apollo Milton's Obote's government. We still have some of these issues lingering till today. Years later, what could be the challenge? What could be the problem? Why aren't we solving some of these issues? For example, we've tried in the areas of ignorance to have free education under Bonavasome by government. We have tried to eradicate poverty by coming up with some of these programs like PDMs and M-Yoga, as well as Operation Wealth Creation. As far as disease is concerned, we've tried so much to fight against especially malaria, HIV, and other diseases. But we are still seeing a lot of Ugandans going through these three things. Some Ugandans are very literate and ignorant. They can't afford to go to school for education. Some others are very they are facing abject poverty actually. And then we also have some that are suffering with disease. HIV numbers are going up. We are looking at a Uganda, hoping for a Uganda to be HIV free by 2040. I don't know how that's going to be possible. But why do you think these issues are lingering around?
Thanks very much, Madam Carol. Though in UPC we prefer to call you Comrade Carol.
Okay.
Unfortunately, every time Family TV invites me, it gives me very little time and asks me issues which require even days and days to explain. However, allow me to sum it up in some other way, so such that the people who are listening and the people who are watching us can have a glimpse of it. Okay? There is an English saying that there are so many ways of killing a rat.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, some of the ways are quick, some of the ways take longer, but very sure. Okay? Now, when it comes to national challenges of that nature, okay, you must be focused on how you are going to tackle them. And you must assemble the tools which are going to enable you to tackle poverty, to tackle ignorance, to tackle diseases. And those tools you have put in place, which to me now are policies and ideas, must be sustainable, must be workable. Okay? Now you find the entire UPC machinery, okay, associates itself with the cause of the common person. And the cause of the common person is that. And it is what is pushing us to give a better attitude. You will write a policy, you will design a policy, okay, which puts a common man at the center stage. And when you are putting the common man at a center stage, you know that that common man is not living in Kampala. That common man is living in the village, down there in Luwero, down there in Chigezi, down there in West Nile, down there in Karamoja. So, if a common man is living there, what is he doing as survival? The survival is agriculture. And if the survival is agriculture, how is he going to progress with agriculture? These days they call it affirmative action. Okay, you make sure that the national budget speaks that language. And all UPC national budgets, if you picked them out, they speak the language of agriculture. Our agriculture in the national budget used to take not less than a third of it. It translates 33% of the national budget. And when it translates like that, we had a philosophy, we had a belief that a majority of our people, that budget allocation of a third will touch them, will improve their lives. Improving their lives to produce. Improving their lives to process what they have produced. To improve their lives to market what they have produced. To improve their lives to rechannel back. That is backward and forward linkages. How do we do it? Which vehicle? We need extension workers. We need cooperatives. We need marketing boards. We need the specialized banks for the farmers, like a cooperative bank. That whole infrastructure, UPC was putting it down. When you ask your parents or your people who are much older, each truck we bought for the farmers, grow more cotton, grow more coffee, on a truck, land train, Bedford, what. When the budget is being read, everybody has bought battery cells and is listening. How much is the price of cotton? And the president is announcing, since he was even the finance minister, it has gone up. Coffee has gone up. Cotton has gone up. Sim has gone up. And people are clapping. That meant that we had focused on agriculture. And there was a system. Lint Marketing Board was working, Coffee Marketing Board was working, Uganda Tea Authority was working, all those infrastructure. Okay? Then, when it comes to improve the welfare, we said, you know, it will be agro-based industries to spur our development, Agro-based industries are the ones which deal with the farmer and whatever raw material he has brought in. That is how we focused our mind. Our mind did not go for shopping malls. Our mind did not go for real estates. And if we went into real estates, we are interested in setting up workers' housing units, not these apartments. That was our mentality. And that was our philosophy. And that is what my department fashions out. Then from there we said, you know, let agriculture take a third, but at the end of the day, whatever we invested in agriculture, we are getting it again. When we export coffee, when we export cotton, when we export their byproducts, we get the money again. And that money works. Now, our brothers and sisters who are running us, they have neglected the agriculture. The percentage I said is 33 or 30%. For them, it is 5 to 6, which does not even reach the Maputo Agreement, which forced African countries to spend on agriculture at least 12 or 13% of our GDP. We are not even there by Maputo Declaration. So, we again moved. We said another priority is education. If you want to give quality education, you need to invest in money. And it should be the government to move in. Not individuals, private can come in to assist. And how do you do it? You need to have as many teacher training colleges. These are for primary school teacher. Because the starting point is primary. Okay. Have as many primary school teacher training colleges, have as many primary schools, and have as many secondary schools, and expand upwards. Now, as we are having all that, we are preparing for free primary education, which we had put in our constitution. And immediately, our manifesto, and immediately we got independence. I think it was John Kakonge, the pilot school was even in Mulago, where we are trying to do it free and experimenting and doing, because UPC believed in doing things slowly, you work on it, and then you expand, you roll it further. Okay, but our brothers and sisters today, they roll out things massively when the resources are seen, and you can't push it far. It collapses somewhere. So we thought that we need to do that. And we tasked a Ugandan parent that since we are giving you some money in coffee, in cotton, in whatever, primary education is not very expensive. You can fight it on your own until we come and we help you. But secondary, let us come in. A-level, let us come in as a government. University, colleges, don't disturb yourself. You help us there. Okay, that was also the angle we are looking at. Then the other angle, all that needs a healthy body and a healthy mind. We embarked still that if it is not education to take more money, it is health which takes money. So our 3 items, the national budget, agriculture, education, and health, we are competing. These two were competing with each other. Now from there, as we are working on health, we said the primary health care system is very, very important. And we put a number of clinics in sub-counties and in the villages. Okay. However, we also built some wonderful regional referral hospitals, the 22+2 hospitals like Nakaseke, Kawolo, Itojo, Chiriandongo, okay, those hospitals. And we say the hospitals make a sense when there is personnel to run it, when there is machines for the doctors to use, and the staff. and their welfare. And again, we ensured that all those things are put in place. But then we said the survival of the country starts with the mother when is pregnant. And in almost all these hospitals, you will find a clinic specifically, Mwana Mujimu, which looks after the mother and the child and advises on the diet. And all those hospitals had a hall where we could teach. But then we said our model operates more on a Gombolola. Then at a Gombolola, you will find a community center. Okay? At that community center, we had these social workers, health workers coming to teach. And I would want to tell you that by the time we rolled the country out, we started moving. Even televisions and radios were not available. We are walking to community centers to watch those facilities. Later on, we started spreading those facilities to household level.
Okay.
Okay. But that was our vision. At the same time, we continued to say we got independence on 9th October 1962. We should always protect our independence and sovereignty. Okay?
Let's go for a very short break, and then we return. We're still discussing the UPC NRM comparison and seeing where exactly we have reached. But we still have a list of issues to deal with. Let's go for a very short break. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Comfort and luxury at its best, Protea Hotel by Marriott is the place to be in case you are looking for where to spend some free time in your leisure time. Remember that we do work hard, and so we get off some money off the money that we've worked for, and we go and enjoy it. So they have a gym, they have a fully fledged kitchen, they have sleeping in case you want to stay to spend a night or a weekend with your loved ones, as well as other activities. Please do check them out on the Entebbe Highway. That is Protea Hotel by Marriott. Back to our conversation today, we are looking at the country that led Uganda to that hosted into independence, actually. It is called the Uganda People's Congress, or UPC, in relation to NRM, the current government under General Museveni. And of course, recently, Uganda People's Defense Congress candidate, her name is Dr. Eunice Otuko Apio. She won the elections in North Oyam. Remember that we lost Honorable Sam Engola when he was shot dead by his bodyguard, and so they had to redo the election, and of course UPC's candidate Dr. Eunice emerged winner, beating her next rival NRM's Sam Mengola, who is also the son of the former minister as well as a former MP, by over 500 votes. And I would like to get an insight from my guest, Mr. Christopher, today. Do you think the elections were free and fair this time around, considering rigging of elections has gone as far back, like you mentioned, as Obote's time? And of course, we do have people who say when NRM wins, the elections were rigged. When it is another party, then the elections were okay. I don't know, what is your take on the Oyam election as a whole and the winning of Uganda Post Congress candidate Dr. Eunice Apio Otuko?
I don't know which angle I should start, whether it is the win or the rigging.
Let's start with the rigging and end with the win. Okay.
I'm happy that I was part of the midwife for this Oyam elections by the virtue of my position at the party headquarters. I was working hand in hand with the media and communication department with what messages we are putting out while our team was on the ground. And our team on the ground was led by Party President Honorable Jimmy Akena and the entire campaigning teams which were drawn across the country and within Lango sub-region. But each day, since they were on the ground, they were coming across information which is pointing towards rigging of elections. And our party president was campaigning against it. And even in the last campaigns, he assured them that I'm going to follow processes all the voting bumper to bumper, like when you are in a traffic jam and you are following each other, bumper to bumper. That is the message. And he said he's not going to leave until the last vote is counted. So our process, apart from campaigning, started with the electoral officers in Kampala when our delegation was there to witness the dispatching of the voting materials. And we are given the serial numbers, which again we took personally to our election campaign teams in Oyam, and we had a briefing with the teams on the ground that these are the electoral numbers. And also we have to thank two things. The president wrote a letter which condemned what happened in Bukedia. So the Electoral Commission took that on board. And they said this time when materials come, they are going to be stored at electoral officers' stores, and from there they will be taken to respective voting areas. So our party now organized not less than 50 motorbikes. There were actually more, to be at the collection center when they are dispatching the materials. And we also put teams on the ground to be at the polling stations very early enough, because normally about strafing goes on at that material time before you start voting. And because our team was much vigilant and it was on the ground, we managed to intercept 3 cases. And those cases, if we had not intercepted them, the story was going to be different, because we won by a difference of 500 votes. And the votes which were caught, like in one polling station, which name I have forgotten, the person took away those ballot paper, what have you, and went and ticked. And then when they brought, they put back. But there were 250 votes. Okay? So we could say, yes, the rigging was there. Okay? But we could say that we are more alert, we are more vigilant, that we did not allow it to flow, to take charge as it should be. And we had a lot of teams monitoring. The ground was fertile. Our structures on the ground were very active, and we did not leave it at chance. Okay? So that total organization, that total mobilization, that vision, that working out as a team, that campaign machine of UPC was reminiscent of the UPC of the 1960s, of the UPC of the 1980s. And it is giving us hope. Okay? It is giving us hope. And the other important aspect which also came out, okay, is that our candidate had a very good profile, had a very good CV, was not a stranger. Last time in 2021 had been a run-up. However, the biggest challenge we had, which is now becoming a Ugandan disease, is the sympathy vote. How do we campaign in a constituency where somebody has just died in the circumstances as we saw them? Okay? We are Africans. We are mourning. There is that sympathy vote. So we had to ensure that we work it out, that we don't offend the grieved family. We don't offend the part of NRM. We carry out our message. We carry out the message which gives hope. We carry out a message which shows that Dr. Eunice and Oyam North, you are a microscope of Uganda, of bigger things to happen. Let it happen. Okay? That was our message. That was our message. And it gave us an opportunity to flex muscles with the ruling party. Okay? And it made us feel that if our meager resources are put to the best use, we can challenge the status quo of the ruling party. Okay? It is an inspiration. It is a vote for Uganda. It is a vote for UPC. It is a bigger present, and it has ramifications for 2026 because it clearly shows that UPC has started its journey. Whatever stumbling blocks we shall have, always Oyam North will give us a source of inspiration. Dr. Eunice Appeal will give us a source of inspiration. And to put it again more clearly, it is the only district or constituency or region, for this matter, Oyam, which is run by our friends, the women. Oyam South is Honorable Betty Among. Okay. Oyam North is Dr. Eunice Appeal. The district chairperson or chair lady is Madam Santa Ogwal. And we have painted Oyam red. And we are going to paint more districts red.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much. At least the discussion has been fruitful, but our time is fast spent. I'd like to thank my guest so much. His name is Christopher Lwanga, Head of Research, Documentation and Ideology from the Uganda People's Congress. We do congratulate Dr. Eunice Appeal, who joins Parliament as the new Oyam MP-elect. Of course, we do also thank the government of Uganda for continually trying to get us out of poverty, ignorance and disease and many other issues. My name is Nowamani. Thank you so much for watching Issues at Hand. I'll be back tomorrow, same time. Don't change your dial. This is Family TV, Church of Uganda Family TV. We love you so much. Have a good day.